sad to say, the big 14-man cluster match got cut down. It ended up only being 12 because Wardlow couldn't make it, and poor Brandon Cutlet got cut. So big talking old Brandon Cutlet, you know, that bland, tasteless piece of white meat that ran his dick about Jim Ross's comments and what he was going to do when he got in that match, didn't even get in the match. That's sad. That is so sad. I hate it when that happens. The Inner Circle, all of them except Wardlow, against the Chuckle Fucks, the Varsity Blondes, and Top Flight. And they had Pockets asleep at the announce desk. And just that's what I'm talking about. Just true professionalism on this show from top to bottom. Just put this goof out there and let him sleep at the announce desk. You wouldn't see that in the WWE because they do care about the professionalism of the appearance of professionalism of their program. But this is like, who knows whether he might have really gone to sleep out there because it was not really exciting to fucking watch and keep awake for. Jericho and Pillman started out and did some nice spots early. You could tell that Jericho was trying to make sure to do something for Pillman and make him competitive. And that was good and what should have been done. Sammy Guevara looked good in the ring. We don't see him wrestling real matches anymore. Remember, we said, we'd like to watch Sammy. And then he got into the masturbatory home movies from Cameron, North Carolina, and the fucking science fiction business. And we never see him wrestle anymore. Top Flight are great prospects, but they're green. They go too fast. The younger brother needs some size and some seasoning. And they're never going to learn anything in these clusterfuck matches. And with the amateur booking that permeates this whole promotion like a beef stroganoff fart at a senior center, it's just everywhere. Nothing makes any sense. And if green guys come into this environment and learn this, they're fucked. If they think this is the way this shit's really supposed to be, it will ruin their careers. Suddenly they just broke into a giant 12-way and the heels bumped to the floor and all of the 6 of the faces hugged each other and they did their little Zoom thing because the Chuckle Fucks have the hug and it killed any semblance of a match they had going. And then they stopped Trent to get some heat and they go to the break because you can't show the heels actually in control of anything. And then they come back and after all the heat on Trent, Guevara took about 20 seconds to come off the top rope and Trent moved, but instead of crashing, Sammy rolled to his feet and Trent started his own comeback. He hit Sammy with a kick, boom, and they both went down. And then Ortiz jumps in and nails some of Trent's partners, but Trent grabs him and suplexes Ortiz. And then just flat-footed, cold-tagged one of Top Flight from 2 feet away from him. This is the worst. Killed the comeback. Not only did he make his own, but he then fucking just reached up right in front of him 2 feet away and tagged this fucking guy. It was the flattest thing I've ever seen. If Sammy had crashed and burned, instead of rolling to his feet when Trent moved, then Trent could have pulled himself up in the corner. And then Sammy could have charged and Trent could have rolled out of the way. Or then maybe if they wanted to juice it up a little bit more, Sammy could have crashed and burned and Trent could have pulled himself up in the corner and Sammy could have fucking gone to take him to the heel corner and they could have got Ortiz in there with Ortiz getting foiled when he tried to make the tag from Sammy. And they fucking fuck up and then Trent gets the opportunity to fucking roll across the ring and dive and tag his partners. But he just fucking cold, flat-footed fucking tag Top Flight after he'd made his own comeback. Then they did dives. Then the Chuckle Fucks did some awkward shit, including that foot to the face thing. It looked even worse than usual. Then everybody did some more shit. Then Hager. I hadn't seen Hager actually active in this match up to that point. Hit possibly the worst F5 on Mr. Garrison that I've ever seen anybody perpetrate. And planted him, and MJF said, tag me, and tagged in, and he got the pin. Which, wasn't that the same finish they did In the first hour?
Yes.
Okay.
In the Matt Hardy match.
Yeah. And then the heels continue the heat. MJF and Jericho are kicking the shit out of one of the baby faces until Top Flight makes a comeback and drop kicks them both out of the ring. And all the heels just leave. And I guarantee you that some amateur booker said, well, the heels inner circle must go over, but we'll make sure that Top Flight looks good and they can run off the top two heels or whatever. I don't fucking know. Anything you have to say about this? It didn't live up to the billing. Without Cutlet in there wasn't a whipping boy, and it didn't stink badly enough to be fun to watch. It just stunk.
No, I don't have too much else to add. You know, the Inner Circle did a promo earlier where Jericho was sucking in his gut as hard as he could. He barely breathed.
Oh, yeah, and MJF was showing his little plaque that he got and everything. Yeah.
And then we were back to real-life Jericho in this match. I thought Pillman Jr. looked pretty good. It hit me that, you know, there are similarities between him and his dad body-wise. You know, Pillman was pretty cut for a long time, but the shape of him and the way he does some of the crossbodies and things and moves, yeah, and that's really all I have to say about this. Didn't really care too much for this, and I will say here it was an interesting episode. Coming off those 2 episodes they hot-shotted, they still had plenty of segments where they had to have something happen afterwards, but this really was kind of a down show from what the last 2 have been.
Well, now, wait a minute. You tell Thunder Rosa that because she got the shit kicked out of her in the back by Britt Baker. I didn't even have time to invoke the tooth and nail rule. But we couldn't go. Remember last week, there were, between the 2 programs, there were about 6 attacks in the locker room area or in the backstage of the parking lot. We couldn't go an entire Wednesday night without somebody getting attacked and beat up in the back on camera. This looked as phony as a football bat, and less said the better. SCU versus the Acclaimed, one of the new tag teams. They've signed 18 new tag teams, trying to get them all over at the same time, and all of them are greener than pepper trees. I saw the Acclaimed's entrance. Rotten music, mugging for the camera. One guy does rap. Was he lip-syncing a pre-recorded track? It looked like he tried to come in a couple of times before it actually got there.
No, I think he was rapping.
Was he
on
doing
a
it live?
Mic. Yeah, I think so.
Well, that's part of the problem too. He was rapping.
Hey, by the way, on the topic of live and lip syncing makes you think of Jericho. The previous match, if you noticed, that's how I knew the show was live. The audience sang the Jericho chorus one time. And once again, he motioned, like, keep going, and they all
keep going, but they didn't. Yeah.
But when it's a pre-tape thing to, I guess, fluff his ego, in post-production, they make a fake second round of the sing-along, which is pretty pathetic. But anyway, back to this match.